Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. So today, let's take a look at the 2026 Mazda CX-90. This is the plug-in hybrid Platinum Plus, finished off in Platinum Quartz metallic with an MSRP just over $60,000. This is powered by the 2.5-liter 4-cylinder. It's also paired to the 68 kilowatt electric motor along with the 8-speed automatic. Combined pumps out 323 horsepower, 369 pound-feet of torque. It's all-wheel drive, weighs in right around 5,200 pounds. It'll do 0 to 60 in 5.9 seconds with a top speed of 118 miles an hour. It also has a fuel capacity of 18.5 gallons. You'll expect to see 56 miles per gallon combined between city and highway, with a total range of 27 miles on just the EV system alone. This also has a wheelbase of 122.8 inches. Its overall length is 200.8. It has a width of 78.5, a height of 69.2, and its ground clearance measures in at 8 inches. Now, as we move on to the exterior styling, this has a great front end look to it, especially with the chrome accents and this exterior color. Now, you'll notice the chrome is in the lower surround for the grille, where the Mazda badge is also very large. This is the sensor for distance pacing. There's also a forward camera, there's parking sensors, and plenty of cutouts within the gloss black grille. You'll notice too, in that surround for the grille is the turn signal, and then the headlights and high beams are in that dark housing just off of that, so it's a nice integration. You'll notice there's some cutouts in the middle section of the bumper along with the chrome and that cutout in the middle there, and then a few lines coming down the hood to give it a great look. Now, as we work our way to the side, you'll notice there's some plastic for the lower section of the bumper, which works its way to the fender flares. It's also on the lower side skirt, where there's more chrome with the Mazda badge stamped at the back section. This also has a two-tone design for the wheels with a great look, and of course it features regenerative braking, being the plug-in hybrid. You'll notice too, plug-in hybrid EV vehicle with that trim accent there, and then this also has power folding side mirrors with a camera and a turn signal. Now, you'll notice there's a combo between black and chrome for the window trim. It's also on the roof racks, and this has a full moon roof up top. Very nice lines flowing down the side for this 3-row SUV. The proportions are very nice. You'll notice too, there is one area with this massive cover for the charging port, so that is on the passenger side. And then in back, you'll notice a body colored spoiler. There's also the third brake light, the wiper blade, LEDs for the lighting. There's a backup camera, parking sensors. You'll notice more chrome in the lower section. And then when properly equipped, this can tow around 3,500 pounds. So realistically, you could put a bike rack or very small trailers and items on the back. Now, as we work our way to the interior, you can use the control on the key fob, the one underneath, or you can actually kick your foot under the middle of the bumper, so it has that hands-free option. And with this 3-row SUV, you'll notice the third row has a 50-50 split. So with the third row up, you still have a good bit of space. You can open up the floor here, where there's a charging cable currently and a little bit more storage. And then you'll notice with the third row down, you have an ample amount of storage. Now, on this passenger side, you'll notice there's some auxiliaries, and there's a few on this driver's side as well, along with an area to put the cover. So you can place that in when you have the third row down, of course, if you need to use that. And then up top, there's the two controls to lock the vehicle or to just close that lift gate. Now, as we work our way to the interior, you have the gas fill up, of course, on this driver's side, and then the white interior, which matches nicely. This also has manual sunshades. You'll notice the wood trim accents with the brush too, and then there's some more storage in the lower section. And then this model here has the bench style seating for the second row. Now, in order to gain access to the third row, you can use the control down below, which is easiest from this angle. There's also a release at the top, of course, so you can use either one and push the seat forwards. So these seats do move forwards and backwards. You can place them as needed. And then at 5'10", I can work my way into the back. Now, what's nice about the third row, there's cup holders on auxiliary. There's even vents as well. And then just depending on how much legroom you need, you can adjust those seats. And at my height, I'm just barely touching the headliner. So I could ride around town. It's of course better for kids, but I could be in here, I could have someone next to me and still have a good bit of space. There's large cargo windows as well. So definitely nice for its smaller size, being a 3-row SUV. And then you can lock that seat into place and then use that bar in the front section here to slide it back for more legroom. Now, for the second row, there's storage pockets behind the front seats, vents in the middle. These are even heated, and then there's all of the climate adjustments laid out nicely underneath. And at my height, I have a good bit of space. You can recline the seats, of course, for a little bit more comfort. and have a good place to be. Now, right in the middle, there's the large armrest along with the cup holders there, and then a pretty good amount of visibility. Even with that pillar on the side there, you can easily see around that from the inside. Now up front, this has lock and unlock. There's the window controls, side mirror adjustments, even Bose for the audio, and then plenty of storage in the lower section. This also has automatic front seats with the stripe that you saw for the rear seats there, which is a nice accent. And then as we hop in, we're greeted with a leather steering wheel. But let's start this up now. And you'll notice on the left side, there's volume, tuning, voice commands, and Bluetooth controls, along with the info button. And the info button will allow you to go through the digital gauge cluster. So you'll notice on that far side, we can scroll through some information just by continuing to push on info. So you have a little bit that you can go through there. And then on the right side, there's the cruise control settings along with steering assist. This also has paddle shifters on both sides, and it's an automatic steering wheel. So you have the adjustments there for telescoping, putting it up and down as well. Now for the rest of the gauge cluster, it is fixed. So you'll see on the left side, there's power and charge, and then some info on the top section there. Now on the left, there's the memory seating adjustments along with the lift gate. There's also parking sensors, traction control, the fuel cap release, and some of the tech features that you can mute and unmute depending on how you want that to react. There's also one air vent, and then this also has a head-up display. It's currently showing miles per hour along with the lane keeping assist. The navigation will also pop up on the far left when you have that activated, so that way you don't have to view it on the infotainment system. Now with this system here, I currently have Apple CarPlay hooked up. This also has Android Auto too. So for this system, you can go through all these functions using the dial down below. It is a touchscreen system, however, when you are in park. So you can go through the Apple CarPlay or Android Auto that way, or use this control down below. For the normal Mazda information, it is now not a touchscreen system, so you do have to use the controls down below. And we'll start at the top where there's information. So you can look at some of these here and set them up as needed. There's also entertainment for your music. You can get into your phone, navigation as well. And then under settings, you have a lot more to go through. So there's the EV settings, so you can go through all of this and set it up as needed. There's also the regenerative braking, which you can adjust as well. There's a driving target for charging it too, which is nice. You have in-vehicle displays, so you can basically adjust the brightness and some of those vitals. There's also sound displays for the audio. There's safety settings as well. So there's a lot of standard safety features you can get into and scroll through all of this as needed. There's also vehicle settings, so you can get into even the paddle shifts. You have doors, interior and exterior lighting, and then you can set up the rest of these depending on what is going to suit you best. There's also the connectivity settings, and then you have a few others here to get into to really dive into all of these adjustments. So it's very easy and simple to go through with the controls down below. Now there's also large hazard control underneath that with more of the white accents, air vents underneath that, and then all of the climate adjustments. So this has heated and ventilated seats, a heated steering wheel, there's fan speed where you'd like the air to go. You can even get into the rear controls from up front. There's some defrosters too, and temperature adjustments on both sides. There's wireless charging, which you can configure how you'd like that to work. There's another 12 volt along with 2 cup holders, which you can hide away. And then the MI drive modes. So this has 4. There's sport mode, normal, EV, and an off-road mode. So depending on the throttle response that you would like, along with if you want this vehicle to just be in that EV mode, you can do that, and you'll notice it will change colors too depending on the mode. You can also use this control right here in order to further charge the battery. So you'll notice on that lower left, that icon there, and when you push on that, your charge target will appear, and you can go into that. Of course, there's multiple settings to adjust that as needed. Now with the release in front of the shifter, just bump it to the right there, and this has that 360 camera system. So again, not touchscreen for this, so you do have to use the dial down below in order to go through the different settings there. Once I put it into drive, now we can go through the 2 angles for the forward-facing camera. You can put it back into park, and then there's a downhill assist and a shortcut to the camera system. So you can push on that to pull that up as needed. There's also auto hold and the e-brake, and then a split opening for the armrest where there's a few auxiliaries. There's also the glove box with plenty of space, and then garage door buttons up top, dome lights. There's also a sunglass holder too. And then here's a look at visibility. For being a 3-row SUV, there's quite a lot of glass. It's a lengthy vehicle, but it is very easy to see in both directions. As we sat up behind the wheel now for the CX90 plug-in hybrid, I recently had the CX70, so this is very similar if you saw that review. However, that was not a 3-row and it wasn't the plug-in hybrid. Aside from that, it was very similar with the rest of the tech features, of course. So if you're looking for a little bit larger of a vehicle and you want the plug-in hybrid system, this is a good option to go with. Now, if you are new to our channel, I did own a plug-in hybrid BMW X5 for about 2 years. So I have a good bit of info and how that system and tech works driving something like this on a daily basis. So it's going to be somewhat similar for this Mazda version here, where currently we don't have much on the range right now. I haven't charged this from my house with the outlet and the plug that this has. You could charge this overnight with just a normal 3-prong outlet. Because the range is about 27 miles or so, it will charge in roughly 7-8 hours. That's going to be similar to my X5, which had a range of about 30. So I would say it's going to be about the same. You don't have to get a fancy level 2 charger or anything like that unless you really want to have it charged in 20 minutes or something of that quickness. So with this here, you can also charge it while driving. So I do currently have it in the charge mode with the regenerative braking. If you wanted this to get to a full charge, you would have to drive for several hours. So I would recommend charging this at least every time you go to bed, have it fully charged for the morning, or every other day, depending on your driving schedule and how far you drive as well. With the range for the EV system, it is going to go through it fairly quickly just because this is a heavy vehicle and that is a very small electric system to push this vehicle. But it is nice for slower speed situations. You can drive around the city in it as well, just depending on what you'd like to do for the day. So with my personal plug-in hybrid, it was just kind of a game with which mode I wanted to use when, depending on the driving that I was doing. If you're in stop and go traffic, it's a really good option to have. So that way you don't, of course, have to use any gas and you can just quietly go through traffic. So there's situations where you can use it if that is some tech that you are looking to get. It's very simple and easy to use. You basically just have this button down below to go into the EV modes along with charging, and then of course the driving modes here too. So let's put it into sport mode now, where we don't have full potential because that hybrid system is not completely charged, but I can put it down into second gear. On the left side, it will show you what gear you're in, and here we go. That is pedal to the floor, and it's got a good pickup to it. It weighs a good bit, of course, but that was up to speed very nicely. We could get a little bit more power if there was some more charge on that hybrid system, but it's fairly adequate for this type of vehicle. The paddles are also pretty responsive too, so if you want to use the paddle shifters on the back, you have the one on the left side to downshift a gear, the one on the right side to upshift, and then if you hold the one on the right side, it will cancel out the paddle shifters and put you back into the normal driving mode. So you don't actually do anything from the shifter down below, you can just do it from the paddle shifters. And then as we get back up to speed here, just in normal mode, we are up to the speed there, and it's been a very comfortable SUV to drive. I've really had no complaints with it. This and the CX70 that I recently had are very comfortable and smooth. Great out on the highway, very good commuters too. With the length of this vehicle as well, it's not very intimidating to drive. So if you're looking for a 3-row SUV, but you don't want something that's fairly large, this is something that's not intimidating. So parking it, just driving it in general, it doesn't feel like a jumbo 3-row SUV. And that's not its point to be a larger vehicle like that, but it's still practical. You have plenty of space for all of your passengers too. And with the driver's seat here at 5'10", I have maybe 3 inches or so of headroom. And this is a height adjustable seat, so that is pretty much all the way down. So you can be a little bit taller than me and still fit comfortably in this vehicle. And still in sport mode, second gear, here we go. And just like that, we're up to speed. Then I can hold on this right paddle, go back into normal drive there. But this is what it's like to be behind the wheel for the CX90. Really good outlook from the driver's seat here. Very large head-up display as well to view all of that information. And you just have a really good seating position. A lot of nice tech. My one complaint is I still haven't been able to find out how to make this system a touchscreen system. So currently right now it is not, but the controls down below make it very easy to go through. So it is a bit of a reach to get to it. So of course this would be much safer. I do wish though that since sometimes it can be a touchscreen, sometimes it's not, I think it would be nice if it was one or the other fully, but that's just a personal preference. Aside from that, the controls down below have been very easy to use, so very similar to my X5, so I can't fault it for that because it is incredibly easy to use. And I know a lot of people like the layout and the control. There's a lot of physical buttons on this interior, so if you're not looking for everything to be in the screen, I think it's a nice layout with all of the tech. Now, with this being the plug-in hybrid, we have 2 miles on the hybrid range, or the EV range. So let's put it into EV mode, where it will change the gauge cluster to purple there, and now it's very quiet. So this is pedal to the floor as we get up to speed. And as you can tell, we're up to about 50 miles an hour there. I don't believe there's a speed limit restriction. If there is, it's going to be at least highway speed. So you can take this out on the highway and cruise around in the EV mode. So it's nice that you have that option. And then when you're ready to, you can quickly go back to normal or sport mode, and the engine will kick on. And we will have a lot more throttle response with that combined system. So very easy to go through that system. And of course, you don't have to go with the plug-in hybrid. So there's other Mazda options like the CX-90 I was in. You can of course get the CX-90 without the hybrid plug-in system too. So it just depends on what is going to work best for you. There's other trim levels as well, depending on your budget too. But the CX-90 is a great vehicle if you're doing a lot of cruising and you want something that's simple but still gives you all of the tech that you would want for a daily driver. Well, that is going to wrap it up for this 2026 CX-90 plug-in hybrid Platinum Plus. If you enjoyed today's video, give it a huge thumbs up and consider smashing that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with our daily uploads, and I will see you all in the next video.